So this is coming from Fox News. These are the protests in Portland, Oregon, which is my hometown. And I see dancing frogs. You can see it right there. Bumblebees. You have a couple aliens from Area 51, Tweety Bird, the Statue of Liberty. You got a pink frog, a unicorn, a bear, and I think that's a giraffe or a dinosaur. And Fox News has to tell you that all these people are dangerous, and this is how they describe it. Street theatrics. Costume anti-ICE agitators protested with blaring techno music and flashing disco lights outside an ICE facility in Portland. And because of all the dancing frogs, Trump and all his people want to put the military basically on streets everywhere and try to convince you that regular people are dangerous. Also, they're going to tell you, this is from Fox News, deluded wine moms. I guess it's all the fault of the dancing frogs, and now we have deluded wine moms. That's the first time I've heard this one. Are committing deadly crimes, not simply protesting. Deluded wine moms. Where do they come up with this stuff? And then the White House is tweeting out here, dregs of society, the quote, neighbors removed from Minnesota. So because of the dancing frogs and now deluded wine moms, Secretary Noem is announcing they're going to send more federal agents, says doubling down. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem announces hundreds more federal agents are deploying to Minneapolis to protect ICE officers conducting enforcement operations. And essentially they're looking to, honestly, they're the agitators, meaning the ICE people, and looking to instigate stuff. You can just see what's going on. And let me show you some examples here. There's multiple of these type of videos around. I think this is in Minneapolis. It says the scene unfolded as federal agents were trying to leave the scene of a deadly shooting Wednesday in Minneapolis. An agent rolls down his window, and I guess he's going to pepper spray someone as she's banging on the window. And then these people, these are just like, local neighbors, get out of our city, get out of our town. And then he just rolls down the window and sprays. See, in that situation, there's no need to do that. You can just drive off. You don't need to just pepper spray someone there. You literally just drive off, see? And this is what's happening in there's multiple instances of this kind of stuff. They show up in, neighborhoods. So I guess this would be Minneapolis again. And there's a lot of people around, and people are honking. Multiple people have whistles. Everyone's, shouting at the ICE people, just get out of our city, get out of our state, right? Just get out, that kind of stuff. And you can see there's a lot of people that show up very quickly. So I'll say this, Minneapolis seems to be standing up for the neighbors. You can see it in multiple cases. And obviously then you have a lot of people with cameras and such taking pictures. And then they exit. ICE then is doing these sort of stops of, I don't even want to call, we'll just say local people. And I think he's breaking the window here and then pulling the person out of the car. It says ICE agents smashed the window of an activist's car, pull him out and detain him as protesters confront the federal agents on the streets in Southside Minneapolis. So that's how this is described. Everyone can read this however you like, but these are neighbors. Everyone has a camera these days, so you're going to get multiple footage of this kind of stuff. And I think a lot of these ICE people, because I've been noticing a lot of videos of ICE people falling down and stuff. I don't think they're local. I think a lot of these people are probably from Texas or something like that, or Georgia or whatever, from the South. And it's pretty apparent. And then Kristi Noem will go on TV and tell you how dangerous this stuff is. Listen to her.
Situation are that the vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. It happened in our shores. It happened here in our country. You don't get to change the facts just because you don't like them. We will continue to look at this individual and what her motivations were. We know that throughout that morning, she had harassed and impeded law enforcement operations. Mm-hmm. That raises the suspicion level with all of these law enforcement officers as far as paying attention to what her capacity is. And as you see on the videos, and they've proven out, that this law enforcement officer took the action that his training prepared him for, and he worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
That's Noem on TV. So she's going to make the case, and I believe this would be in the killing of Renee Good, that the ICE agent was, self-defense, these kind of things. You can see what she says. And they're going to try to make the case that driving the car is an act of terrorism. And the reason why it becomes important when you see these other kind of situations, right? Let's say someone's, being on you and you're just like, I'm going to try to drive away. And then does that warrant literally shooting point blank and killing someone? And that's why all these, or the situation was with this one here I showed you here, to where like, the ICE is driving off and then they roll down the window to pepper spray someone, right? So she'll say, well, that's our training. Listen to what the local mayor has to say here.
Told ICE, quote, to get the F out of Minneapolis. We are now seeing major protests all across the country, as you well know. I know that you've seen them as well. Do you bear any responsibility as a local leader, Mayor Frey, to bring down the temperature right now?
Of course, I bear responsibility to bring down the temperature. That's part of my role as mayor. And by the way, protests here in Minneapolis are peaceful. We had, 10,000 or so people that were protesting and marching yesterday, and virtually all of it was very peaceful expression of First Amendment rights. And, to those that are offended, I'm sorry I offended their delicate ears, but as far as who inflamed the situation, I dropped an F-bomb and they killed somebody. I think the killing somebody is the inflammatory element here, not the F-bomb, which I'm sure we've all heard before.
Well, let me...
And honestly, I think that's a really good response to this, right? Sure, I said get the F out of our city, but you're killing our people, right? You're killing our neighbors. And that's why I'm showing you different things where people are standing up for their neighbors. Let me show you something else. This is a protester here, and he's also a military veteran. Listen to what he has to say.
Here at this protest.
Yeah, I think that's important to me because of all the reasons that I joined. To protect my neighbors, to stand up for my community and my country, which I was told was all about freedom, democracy, really the goodness of all people as one. That's not something that we're seeing. That's not something that I've seen in deployment. That's not something that I see in our communities. It's not something that's being advanced by the lies and the policies and boots on the ground actions that we're seeing that are tearing us apart. So it is about, like you said, humanity. It is about truth. And it is about us standing together to make this place great. I'll say make this place what it says it is. And I'll say that is, there's so much talk about freedom. There's so much talk about democracy. There's so much talk about equal rights. We aren't seeing that. Where's equality here? We're standing here because there's a complete lack of equality, of equity, of care. How about building community? How about investing in education, in programs that help us all be greater, strengthening the economy rather than taking from it? Right now, this assault on our city.
And I really like this guy. And I don't know if he's been watching our channel or hanging out in our community, but I mean, literally he was saying invest in our people, education and such, the economy. I think a lot of people, these messages will speak to people and if you want to move forward, this is what you should be talking about building people up, opposed to, when the Trump people talk about regular people, they just say, they're all dangerous agitators and such. Let me show you this is Representative Omar, see what she has to say.
It's not acceptable for Kristi Noem and the president and the vice president to make these kind of judgments without there being a full investigation, even though we can see in the videos that have been produced so far that what they are describing is really not what is taking place. And so if they're saying that we shouldn't believe our eyes, then let the investigation take place before you characterize this mother of three as a domestic terrorist. Prove to us what documentation you have, that one, that she was paid, two, that she was agitating when we can hear her say she's not mad, she's not upset. She's clearly trying to wave cars to bypass her. And so it's just this level of rhetoric is unjustifiable to the American people.
So what Representative Omar is saying here basically is due process, right? If the Trump people want to claim that we're all paid and everyone's an agitator and everyone's spreading lies or whatever, and they're the only ones telling the truth, well, prove it to us. And this is where facts matter and the truth matters. Turns out, though, it looks like the Trump people are trying to hide things. This is actually coming from Fox News. They're showing it. This is Representative at Omar again. Listen to this.
What happened today is a blatant attempt to obstruct members of Congress from doing their oversight duties. When we appropriate funds as members of Congress, we are expected by the public to do oversight because the public requires their money be used with transparency and accountability. And what happened today is ICE agents deciding that we were no longer allowed to fulfill our constitutional duties.
So basically, that sounds like ICE is trying to block Congress. Let me show you more here. This is from Governor Pritzker. See what he has to say.
They are, ICE and CBP, are breaking their own protocols. You read them earlier, their own protocols, and not only roughing people up, but literally shooting at people and killing them when in some cases they're U.S. citizens and they're doing nothing wrong. So this is why I have said that the president is not following the law, why Kristi Noem needs to resign or be impeached, and why Tricia McLaughlin should not have the job that she has. She's a pathological liar. She's their spokesperson.
Governor.
And so that's basically the Trump people, right? They're liars. You guys probably know this if you watch the channel, but just want you to see that various people are expressing it in public. And then you have the regular experience of people on the ground. Take a look at this. This is Border Patrol talking to and harassing, you could say, an Uber driver. Listen to how this goes.
This is not the border. Go to the Canada border or the Mexico border.
But if you were from this country, if you were from this country, you know I'm an immigration officer.
What do you mean if I'm from this country?
I can hear you don't have the same accent as me. That's why I'm
Oh,
asking
so
you.
you're going by accents now?
I want to know
Is
where
that
you were
what it
born.
is?
Where were you born?
Is that accents? Have you heard the Israeli accent? Have you heard the European accent?
Bovino. Hey, that's italiano, mamma mia. Mamma mia. Arrivederci, capisci? I'm fluent.
I'm not going to shoot.
And it's good that they put that in there because, you know, if you're going to arrest people based on accents, that means, I guess, we don't like certain kind of accents, but then we celebrate other kinds of accents, right?
Show you anything. If a police officer comes here, I'll comply with it. But U.S. Border Patrol, I don't even know if you're a real police officer. Where's your ID?
But you just said it.
Where's your ID?
You just said it.
And I'm not going to go by
I'm
C20.
wearing my
That's a periodic chemical.
But I'm
That's a
wearing
periodic
mine.
element.
I'm
C20? What
wearing
are you,
mine.
covered 20? Yes.
So I didn't know this. This was new to me. I can see on the back of this guy's uniform, he's got C20 written. So I guess instead of names, they're just putting like these numbers and letters on there. I didn't know that. That's new to me. So you guys can see it clearly on there. So that's what.
Bills,
Hey,
come back.
you're not my
Come
boss.
back.
You come here.
No, hell no. Why would I
Come
come
over
there?
here.
You come here.
Then shut
You
up.
came to my car. I'm chilling on my social
Man,
media.
shut
This
up.
lady comes knocking. Sir, can I see your ID? Why the hell would I show random people my ID? You want to steal my identity? Where's your ID? Let me check if you're a U.S. citizen. How about that? You guys just shot somebody now. Who else you guys want to do? That ain't you guys? It wasn't ICE? That wasn't ICE?
Nope.
Come on now. Can't read? Whoa. Come on, man. I'm telling you, listen,
But you said
let's
no,
not,
but
let's
it's not
not
an
talk
O,
to
it's
each
a
other in a
zero.
retarded way. You want to have a conversation like a normal person?
Yeah, sure.
I have to talk to you like a normal. I'm an engineer, graduated from Washington State University.
great.
$70,000 student loans.
That sucks.
And I'm doing Uber. You know what that means? I'd rather make an honest day's living. I don't go harassing people at work, dude. What the hell is that?
If you have an engineer,
Bro,
go be an engineer. I don't understand.
all of you guys need psychiatric checkups. This is not normal. Why do you go to people's workplaces to harass them?
All right. Have a good day,
Yeah,
sir.
go with C61.
You're a recruiter?
Man, R56.
Have a good day, sir.
Get out of here, man. But get a better name. R56. That. That's a name. Yeah, that's initial, man. Get out of here.
So when you put all this together, you can see an accurate picture of what's going on right now at the moment. DHS is sending yet more agents to Minneapolis. Neighbors are standing up to protect their neighbors. You can see that the agents are harassing people at work, and people are struggling. In fact, this person is like, I'm driving Uber. The agent's like, well, why don't you get a job as an engineer? Well, maybe there's no opportunities right now. And it coincides with the other person was saying, like, why don't we invest in education and the economy and actually help people, whereas the Trump people just try to convince you that everyone's dangerous, and then therefore they need to send out all of their, military and agents. They don't even have names on the uniform other than, C20 and R45 or whatever. So that's what's going on. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next video.